riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day, no matter where.
What's up, guys? Brad Chappell back with you at the Crappie Connection. I'm up here at the Cornfield Fishing Days, Demo Days.
Demo Days, yes,
up here
sir.
at Kentucky Lake. It's been a really fun event. Beautiful lake. My first time to Kentucky Lake. I'm sure Whitey here has fished it a couple of times.
Yeah, I've been here a good many times fishing tournaments and stuff. And, you know, with Cornfield doing this is the first one in the history of fishing that I know of anybody's had.
Yeah.
Pretty cool thing, you know, pretty cool.
You know, if you're wanting to rig out a boat, definitely in the future, I would mark it on the calendars. And there's, I don't know how many pros brought their boats down there. There's
25 or 30.
25, 30 boats rigged out to the tee. And you can kind of get out there and feel and touch them and have a little bit of fun with the pros even.
Talk with Mark, and if you ain't got what you want, the good thing about Mark versus these other companies is he can customize anything you want. You know, that makes a big deal because all boats are not the same.
That's right.
So it's good. He's got good product. I mean, they're probably the best in the market, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, do a little introduction about yourself. Tell us about your history in there in crappie fishing. I know it's long, though.
It's long, boy. It's been a long time, I'm tell you. I'm Whitey Outlaw, and I pro staff for a lot of companies, and I got my own TV show, which is Chasing the Wild Outdoors. And I've been born and raised on Santee Cooper, and, you know, I started fishing for these crappie many, many years ago with my family. And then I got hooked on it, started traveling and fishing, and, you know, had a good career, had a good time, and met a lot of people, and won a lot of tournaments, but I've always lost more than I won. That's the way it works. You don't win everything. But anyway, I've had a good career at it, and you know, and now I have quit fishing tournaments as of last year. You know, I got lucky enough. The first tournament I ever fished in many years ago, I made money. The last tournament I fished last year, I made money, so I figured I better quit.
Leave on a high note.
Leave after 40 years. I think that's enough.
Man, that's a lot. I know I met him years ago. I don't know if it was at Grenada, Lake Washington. It was a Mississippi lake, and we've always had a mutual respect. I know you're a really good fisherman, and I always felt like if I land next to you, I was kind of in a good area.
Yeah, you know, when daylight comes and you look around and you see that boat and maybe that one out there and one over there, we on good fish.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will look around and ain't nobody. Kind of say, am I in the right spot? You know, but it's paid off. I mean, it's been fun. But you know, crappie fishing has grown to such a business now. You know, it's like bass fishing. I mean, bass fishing is up on a pedestal level, and we're trying to get there. And we should have been there many years ago, because we buy just as much equipment, if not more, just as good equipment. But it's coming. One day it'll get to where it needs to be for these young guys. And so I'm glad to get out of it and just do the TV and interviews and sponsor shows and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm sure I'll miss some of it, you know, but.
You know, I wanted you to get on here today, and we're going to talk a bit about, you know, Santee Cooper, how you crappie fish in the summertime. This show will come out in summertime. So a lot of guys are trying to figure out, is crappie fishing still good in the summertime?
Oh, Lord, man. You know, it used to be we'd give these seminars at Bass Pro and stuff, and people would say, when is crappie season? Mm-hmm. Well, it used to be February, March, April, and then that would go away, you know. Now it's year-round. I mean, we found out, you know, many years ago that, and me, the best time is summertime.
Yeah.
Easy to fish. You know where to look. You ain't got to hunt them all over. So during the spring, you got to look everywhere. During the fall, they're getting ready to stage up for the winter, so they scatter out a little bit. But summertime, fish that deep water, you know, on certain lakes. Just don't, if you got a lake that's got a thermocline, you ain't going to do very well fishing under it. So most time on Santee Cooper, believe it or not, 6 to 14 foot. That's the range. And I mean, we fish brush, natural stuff like stumps, big logs. And then up in the swamp where I fish, and you've seen the videos of that, all that water's around 5 to 6 foot deep. And we fish that floating grass and stuff. And believe it or not, they be on it all summer long. 100-degree days, they'll be in 4 to 5, 6 foot of water. So, you know, people say, oh, you got to go all deep. You don't have to go. It depends on your lake, the clarity of your water, what type lake you're on. But, you know, 8 to 12, 8 to 14, somewhere along in there, that's the range that you usually do real well at.
Right.
In some months on our lakes. But around August, July and August, September, when it really gets them dog days of summer, the fish are tired, the water's hot, they don't exert a lot of energy running a bait down or whatever, so you got to put it there. And we use a lot of live bait then. We tip jigs with live bait. You know, a lot of times it's just a jig head or a hook with a live minnow. But I've been using a new product.
Oh.
And I've run a bunch of tests on it for the last 2 years, and we finally got it to where we want it. And that's the reaction balls from Easy Drift with the bait pen. Most every other company that makes them, and I'm not saying other companies' baits are no good or whatever, but all of them dissolve, get mushy.
Okay. Yeah.
When you go to casting or flipping, it tears off. These reaction balls are made out of rubber and impregnated with the scent in it. And we've done it long line trolling and outfished the minnows. We've done it jigging grass and outfished the live bait. We've done it casting to the brush with live scope.
Yeah.
And it seemed to come out on top of the live bait every time. Every time. Not one time, every time.
I'm about to check this out now.
It's a new deal, I'm tell you what. I know you love long line trolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last week we went to Lake Watery, which is eat up with fish and a good trolling lake. We throw 10 rods out. 5 on that side of minnows, 5 on this side. But let me back up a minute. We started out pulling minnows and jigs, catching fish. I said, okay, I want to see what's the difference. So we took all the minnows off one side, bait balls and jigs. At the end of the day, that little right-hand side of the boat outfished that left-hand side of the boat over 25 fish.
So it's a scent-based product.
It's a scent base and it's an oil-based product.
Huh.
So it don't wash off, and the ball is a rubber like a jig. And it's got pores in it. We can't see it with our eyes, but anyhow, you can catch, I have caught 12 to 14 fish on these bait balls, and then cut them open and taste them. Tastes like crap. So it's still got the scent in it.
Yeah.
But, man, it cuts down a haul in a minnow bucket. Dipping minnows, and you know, I know that people will disagree, but man, I did too. I knocked it. I said, "You telling me that's going to be better than live bait or mealworm or something?" I said, "I don't know. Trust me, it is better.
Huh.
It is better."
You know, I want to talk even like you said that shallow water summertime fishing over there. Is that like in those cypress trees? I know you got a bunch of cypress. Is it?
Once the spawn's over, believe it or not, them fish usually leave the cypress trees. They get in a pattern away from them trees for some reason. Same way in the fall of the year, they don't go to them. They only go to them in the spring. But they ain't far from the trees. They'll be under some lily pads or grass or something somewhere, either on a stump or a brush pile. And what we found, if we can go down there and take a cypress tree, it's got a lot of limbs hanging off of it, where it's shade all the way around it, and then cut us a couple of oak limbs and throw around that tree, sink them, you know. We can just get around there and pitch around them trees and catch them off them oak limbs. They're not at the tree, but that gives us a place to put the brush.
Right.
And then it's got shade, because believe it or not, them fish love that shade in the summertime, because, you know, they got no eyelids, so they want to get in there where the sun ain't just burning them down on them. So I don't hardly ever, me personally, fish over 8 foot all year long. Nothing over 8 foot. I just don't have to. And I've always been a shallow water fisherman. You know, that's been my deal the whole time. Even in tournaments, I didn't like fishing deep. I was shallow. But people overlook them. They overlook them. You know, I see people ride by them, you know, and I think, oh, man, you just left a whole hedgerow full of fish, you know.
I think, you know, and you said it best a second ago about the favorite time to crappie fishing. A lot of guys get into crappie fishing. It's usually in the, you know, March, April, May time frame, depending on where you're at, that spawn fish. And man, for me, and I've been a full-time guide for quite a few years, it's the most challenging time of year to crappie fish is during a spawn.
Yep.
Because one day they're here, one day they go.
Yep, they come in, you know, and the males will come in and clean out the beds and make the beds, and then the hen will come in, the female will come in and lay the eggs, and she's gone. She don't stay there but 6 or 7 hours. She squirts her eggs out, and she's gone. And then she's hard to catch from that point on until actually gets into the summertime. But she's wore down from spawning. She's tired. She sits out there, and them hens and females will not bite like the males will.
Yeah.
So, but the male will stay there and until the eggs hatch, and if they don't get away from him pretty quick, he'll sit there and eat them.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's I guess that's nature, but yeah, most people overlook the summertime fishing, man. I mean, it's hot. We sit out there with straw hats and wet towels and wet T-shirts on and stuff, you know, and get in the water and cool off. I'm talking about 100-degree days, you know, index 102, 103. I mean, that's rough fishing. And you got to carry a lot of stuff to drink, and the right stuff to drink. And but that's my favorite time for 2 reasons. Most people don't fish then.
Yeah.
I got the whole lake to myself.
Right.
Whole swamp. There ain't nobody up there but us. And I like that part of it.
You know, when I go in the summertime a lot, and I don't go out crack of dawn. I wait till the sun actually gets up a little bit, and I've kind of learned that I'm fishing a lot of structure from 10 to about 17 footed, right in that range, depending on what part of the lake it's at. But those fish, as that sun comes up, you know, they kind of scatter out in the nighttime and at dusk, and as that sun comes up, they really gravitate towards that structure. And I have a pile that I would bet 2 years ago, and it's in about 10 to 12 foot of water, which is fairly shallow for summertime, you would think. But man, I bet I caught 2,000 or 3,000 fish off of it. They just go to it.
Summertime, and it's easy to figure out, man. I mean, if you just do a little time of thinking on the water while you're out there, and there's nothing scientific about it at all. 10 to 2 or 3 long in there. That's the favorite time on brush in the summer. Because like you say, they scatter out at night feeding, and then in the mornings, it takes them a couple hours to get back. When that sun gets up pretty good there about, 10 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, they start migrating back to that brush to get in it, where they can just sit. They sitting there, they hiding from predator fish like big catfish, gars, or whatever, and they're pretty active. It's easy to catch. I mean, you flip it in there, and they're pretty active, but 10 to about 2 to 3 long in there. After that, they kind of start spreading back out, and they get where they just lock up a little bit on our lake. So 10 to 3 is my hours in the summer, pretty much. Now, if I'm in the swamp, I'll go up there at daylight because there's no breeze up there. I mean, it's like a box, man. I mean, there ain't no breeze get in there because the trees are so thick. So I get in there at daylight, and I'm usually around 10 o'clock, I'm coming out because I'm done. I got the limit, and I'm coming on to the house because it's hot. But on the open lake, 10 to 3, that's your hours on brush and logs and what have you.
Yeah.
And, it took years to put these kind of little things together, and the people ask me, so how you know when they're spawning? I said, well, you got these people that say the dogwoods are blooming, oak trees are blooming, pine trees is pollinating. I said, oh, that's good. I mean, it's about the same time. I said, really, I go to looking at the temperatures, the air temperatures, and I take the high and the low and add them together. You get 116 or better. For 3 or 4 days, they in shallow water somewhere on that lake.
106. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that.
No, that come from my granddaddy many, many years ago. He said, if you take that high and that low at night and add them together and get 116 total or more, he said 3 days of that kind of weather put them shallow in March and April. And so far in the last 50 years, they ain't missed it. So that's what I go by mostly. And, a lot of people say, what side of the lake you fish? It don't matter what side you fish. Everybody says, well, the west side warms up the quickest, and it does, because the sun comes up and it's on it all day. And that's a fact. West side the best. But if you got a lot of coves, indentions, and creek arms, and corners, and little nooks, that warms up quick, no matter what side of the lake it is. So when you get the temperature right, you go to looking, and also throw the moon phases in there. You got to have that moon. You got to have full moon and a new moon.
Do you like it? Let's say in the summertime, does the full moon bother you, believe? Or
No. The summer bite is absolutely, I don't think it's as much as a hunger bite. It's more of a reaction bite. But they sitting in that brush, And that's the way they feed anything swims by. They ain't gonna get out there and swim it like they're running a long line trolling deal, you know. They ain't gonna run it
too far.
Yeah, I mean, they may run up there 5 foot or so, but as far as he's going, you know. But it's a reaction deal. To me, that's the way they hit and the way they get hooked in their mouths and stuff, you know. And I've had a lot of people say, but when they get hooked in top of the mouth, it means the barometer's doing this or doing that. I said, well, I don't know about that. I said, the only thing I do know, if he's hooked in the mouth, I get to take him home. That's what I know. I can't tell you if he's biting down there, he's got low pressure on the side. I think it's the way you hit the fish, because if you fish long enough, you'll always foul hook one in the gill or the back or something. So was he trying to eat it, or he was just slapping at it, or what, you know, or run at it and missed it? I don't know. But people read too much into it. You know, you got these guys that like to take and pull out these gauges and thermometers. Just go fishing, enjoy life, man. If you take a box of fish home, that's a bonus, and not just enjoy what God built for us. You know?
That's right.
Enjoy it and take care of the lakes. Pretty simple stuff.
What would be one of the advice? I know you've got so much history into this sport. Somebody wanting to get into crappie fishing, and what would be some of the advice that you would say, hey, look, if you did this and you paid attention to this, this would make you a better fisherman, to say?
I think any time that you get on the water and you pay attention to the wind directions, pay attention to the temperatures in the morning versus the evenings, and the way the fish are biting. One thing I know for sure, when we're jigging and we catch a fish with it way down his throat,
right,
that tells me he wants it. I mean, he's sucking on that bait hard. He wants it. And things like that. And the simplest thing is, don't waste much time in one spot. If you're going to crappie fish, you're going to have to move. Very few times you can go out there and fall in on them and sit there all day.
Yeah.
You know, I have done it, and it can be done, but most times you got to move 6, 8, 10 times a day. And up in that swamp, I probably fish 40 grass beds a day, you know. And, so move is the main thing. Keep moving till you find them. Don't get hooked on one color. Don't get hooked on one size jig head. You got multiple colors out there available to you. Switch them up. And everybody's, well, dark water, dark baits. That's fine if that's your thought. My thought is I'm going to keep switching over to whatever it is until I find out what they want.
Yeah.
And that's what I go with. So, you know, they got so much stuff here you read and hear, but nothing beats the time on the water.
Right.
You just got to learn it. And it's easy to learn. You just pay attention to what Mother Nature's doing. And all these guys talk about, oh, you're going to fish the lakes out. Mother Nature will not allow that.
I agree.
They've been fishing these lakes 100 years. They still got fish in them. Mother Nature will take care of it. She'll have thunderstorms out there you can't fish. She'll have windy days they don't get hurt. She'll have low water, high water, muddy water. A lot of things to keep it from getting fished out. So you ain't going to hurt the fish. Just fish. You know, take what you need and leave the rest. Pretty simple deal.
I agree totally. That's everything you said is kind of, I'm like, yep, I agree.
You know, it's just, we're limited. We got so much water. They ain't making no more. I mean, there ain't nothing else there. I mean, they didn't build all they could build, I think, this country. And we need to take care of it. I mean, we don't need to take no more than what we need. Yeah. And if you don't need them, catch them, throw them back. Yeah. Or if you got people you want to give some to that don't fish, that's fine. You know, but protect the waters and stuff. I see a lot of trash floating in our lake. Every lake you go to, you look at the banks, you see it in the. I'll bet you I've picked up probably 300 Pepsi Cola bottles. When I say Pepsi Cola, I'm talking about the old ones that had Pepsi engraved in the glass, which is an old glass bottle. That's been around. They ain't made them in probably 25 years or 30. Yeah. I got 300 or 400 of them at home I pick up floating in the lake, especially on high water. It brings them out the woods and stuff. And I mean, I pick them up. I got a whole collection of all kind of bottles off that lake. And then I take a lot of trash out the lake that I pick up. You know, just clean up, man. Don't let stuff blow out the boat. If it does, turn around and get it. Yeah. Because everybody says to kill the fish, get on the fish, and want to smother or die or whatever, get tangled up in it. That's true too. But the main thing, plastic bags and stuff, wrap around your foot and blow your motor up, and you not even know it. I mean, it'll wrap around and cut the water off, and it don't take long when these big motors run them wide open before you get it knocking pretty good. So
even fishing line, I mean,
fishing line, man, is the worst thing, because in a season, I'll say a season, which is all the time, I probably take the prop off my boats 5 or 6 times and get line off it every time.
Yeah.
And if you leave it on there very long, it'll cut the seal out, and then you got water in your foot. So, man, take all that stuff and throw it in a box or something, or stick it in your pocket or something. Bring it home. Don't throw it out there in the water, because it might mess you up next time.
Yeah.
So, clean your lakes up, man, and fish, have fun, take the kids. And if you want to break a kid from crappie fishing, take him crappie fishing, because it's not always going to be exciting. It's not always going to be.
Kind of like life.
It is. It's not always going to be, a walk in the park with crappie. You got to hunt them, fish hard for them. But if you want to get the kids into fishing, man, take them bluegill fishing. Put them on them brim beds and stuff. Everybody likes to see a cork go under. I mean, I love to take them with them brim. And then you get him hooked on fishing, then he'll end up being most of the time, a better person in life. Mm-hmm. Really, it does. So,
what about, and this is kind of along the same lines, but it's on the opposite side of things. What are some of the mistakes that you see other fishermen while you're fishing? You're thinking, man, if this guy would do a little bit different. And we all see it. And we're like, man, I wish this guy, and I'm not the type of person, and I know you're not either, say, hey, man, you're doing this wrong. And I don't expect you to do that, or anybody to do that. And I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me. But we're just here talking for guys that are out there fishing. They might be like, they didn't know better.
Yeah. Well, one thing is usually they're fishing too shallow or too deep. Some of them, once you fish too deep and get below that thermocline, you pretty much done. You're done. You ain't even catch them. But too deep, and they stay somewhere too long.
Yeah.
I mean, if the fish are there, you go to catch them pretty quick. It don't take long for them to slow down and move on somewhere else. But the biggest mistake I see them is fishing places that there's no fish.
Yeah.
The old saying is all the water we got ain't but then 10%. Well, Live Scope proved that wrong. They're in places we never fished before. But move, man, you got to move. You can't just hang out on one hedgerow. If they ain't biting right down through there, they ain't going to be many down through here either. It's kind of a gambling deal, but, hey, move a lot. Move a lot till you find them. That's the biggest thing I see them doing, just hang out in one spot. I pass them, and 2 hours later, I'll come back. They'll be right along in the same place there. And at the boat ramp I talked with them, they have 7, 8 fish.
Yeah.
Move. If they're not biting, move. Don't just think they're there, because if they ain't biting, even if they're there, it don't make no difference.
Right.
Move till you find some active fish.
Yeah.
And people say, if they're not biting here, they're not biting on the whole lake. That ain't so. That ain't so. They may not be biting on this brush here. You move 90 yards, the brush might be hot. So you just move, man. I move a lot. And I fish fast. I always have fished fast, but move. That's the biggest thing I see. I'm just sitting too long in one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. I totally see it too. And I think a lot of people go out there and they fish on memories, and it's like, hey, when I was a kid, or 3 years ago, I really caught them here, or even last week.
Yeah, your home lake is the hardest lake to fish because you know so much about it.
Yeah.
Because you go out of town, you can find some fish. I've always done better out of town, finding fish. I see, because I'm looking at stuff I ain't never done. Back home, I pretty much know where they're going to be, and I'm hung in that zone. And sometimes I got to stop and think myself out of it and get to another place, and hunt fish. So sometimes you know too much, but if it don't pay off, move. It don't cost nothing to crank up, move, quarter of a mile or something. And I see a lot of guys fishing in fresh water, fresh muddy water. Well, hey, they'll bite in fresh muddy water after about 3 days. They ain't gonna bite. If that thing got muddy from last night to this morning, they ain't gonna bite. They're gonna be stunned for a day or so. Give it about 2 or 3 days. I don't care if it's red as an apple, they'll bite. But they can see that jig about 5 or 6 foot in the mud.
I think that's one of the things great about this new technology is forward-facing sonar is you see the reactions of these fish. And, before that, we had to
We had to guess what.
We had to guess,
They always said, don't fish below the fish. They won't feed down. Well, that ain't so. I done seen them turn and go straight down and get that bait. So I know they'll feed down, and that they'll sit down, they'll chase that bait all the way to the trolling motor. But one thing I've noticed, if you got it there and he's sitting still and you see him quiver,
oh, yeah,
it's on.
Yeah.
Just watch it. He's coming, and I got a bad habit of wanting to bounce that jig. Bad move.
Yeah.
Just start winding a little faster, and regularly he'll come. He might hit it right at the trolling motor, but he's going to hit it if he's got that tremble. So, I love to watch it, but do I use it all the time? Nope. I'm a shallow water swamp guy. I live in that swamp. That's where I fish, and I love that one pole fishing and the vegetation. That's pretty much my deal. And I think I do that because, not just because I was raised up there, I just don't see many people up there, you know. I'm kind of by myself, and I like that. I'm kind of a loner to start with, and that puts me where I need to be. And you get a lot of good thinking up there when you're by yourself, you know, fishing. And so,
Yeah. That's one of the good things about being able to fish a lot and through the years is, you know, it's that those days, and it don't always have to fill up a cooler to have a good day fishing.
some days just riding through the swamp with a friend or just riding through by yourself, just you clear your mind.
Yeah.
And all your troubles are kind of wash away, you know. It's a godly thing. I don't care what nobody says. I mean, it is a godly thing. And, you know, people look at me because I've always been kind of wild around the tournament trail doing this and that. And I said, well, boys, I still believe in the Lord. And I said, I'll tell you, he's the only thing kept me here. So I feel more closer to God when I'm out there fishing than I do anywhere on the planet. So,
I can totally see why.
Yep.
I agree as well. And definitely appreciate you coming on here as always.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me.
Appreciate everything you've done for the sport of crappie fishing. I mean, I don't think you get told that enough.
Well, I think I've tried my best to do the best I could to help people. And, you know, one thing you run into, and I know you have too, you run into people that already know too much.
Yeah.
And you can't help him. I just look out and say, this is what I do. But I don't think so. I said, that's fine. I mean, this is how I do it. You know, my brother, bless his heart, he's been dead since 2013. He was one you could put in the boat and show him what you were fishing with, and he'd use something else.
Right.
That's why he was never a good fisherman. He would not listen. I was 5 years younger than him, so he wasn't going to listen to me at all.
Right. Yeah.
I always got to put it on him, though.
I can believe that totally.
Yes, it's fun. I mean, it's been a fun ride, man. I'm going to tell you. So I've seen it in the glory days, and I've seen it in the bad days, and I've seen it back through the glory days. So I think it's a good sport. I think it's the cleanest sport out there that we got. And you don't have to be rich to do it. You don't have to have a $30,000 boat. You can take a flat bottom boat and a bull motor and catch all you want. And on my TV show, if you watch it, it's a basic rig. I don't even have a trolling motor on it. I just run that tiller handle and fish my stuff and do it. And anybody can do it.
Where can we find your TV at?
It's on the Pursuit channel. It's airing right now. It's on Thursday nights, and it's 6:30. And the name of it was Father and Son Outdoors.
Right.
And then we changed it this year because we wanted to do a little more stuff. And the only reason we changed it because we do a lot of quail hunting, a lot of duck hunting and put on there. So we changed it, Chasing the Wild Outdoors.
All right. Well, I'll definitely put it on my list to watch.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, as always, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you now.
Thank you, buddy. Next time, I'm going to have this guy on here again. He's always a hit and always just a great listening kind of deal. But make sure you tune in on Tuesday nights. Today's Bite brought to you by Bobby Girl and Baits, 7 o'clock every week. Great thing. Make sure you turn the notifications on. Until next time, you got Brad Chappell here. Mr. Outlaw. Holla.
Got a mile from Big Muddy River, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away.